Okay, well, I started the recording and we'll go ahead and see what Jerry's got going on tonight. Did you get your ears lowered, Jerry?
No?
No?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. That might have been 10 days ago or something.
Oh, okay.
The mustache and beard are gone.
Oh, that's what it is. You cleaned up.
My wife didn't even notice, and she's the one that's been bitching about it, so. Who's sorry for that?
I had a group of people on the sailboat one time down in Baja, and I shaved half my beard and half my mustache, and nobody noticed for hours. It was hilarious. Yeah, for hours. Well, I applied to 200 medicine programs last night, a bunch of them in Michigan.
Applied for medicine programs?
Yeah, residency programs.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Where in Michigan?
All over the place.
All over?
All over.
There'll be a change in weather for you.
Yeah, I applied to a bunch of programs down here too, and some back home and all over.
You ready for me?
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
All right.
Filling dead space.
Well, you know, there's like 2 or 3 different topics that we were talking about in this last week to share, and there's like 3 or 4 people that were in on the conversation. But I'm gonna open tonight with something else that's come up, and then we'll move off to those topics. I'm gonna start tonight with the auto lensometer that's here, and I'm here in my office at work because I've got the auto lensometer up and running, and I thought I was gonna show you how easy it was to use, and so that anybody can volunteer as we want to as we go down the line on these things. And then after that, there was 2 big ideas that's come up in the last week for our club, and we thought it'd be appropriate to open a discussion about it. One was doing youth exchange, and the other one was the possibility of a satellite club off of us. So let's talk about those there a little bit. The auto lens, let me turn on my other camera, I hope. How do I do that? Oh. Sorry. I may have to call back in here with this in a second. It's not coming up. How come it's not letting me come back in? I don't understand. Oh, there it is. All right. There we go. All right. I'm going to kind of set this next to my desk, and then I'll pick it up here and now and then for showing the video. This is not that big of a device. It's just a little box item, if you will. It's not that heavy, maybe 4 or 5 pounds. In the case and shipping, it's only 10 pounds shipping. And it's a rather simple device. It has a piece up here where you view everything. Here's where the glasses end up going in here.
Jerry, you can't see it.
We lost the picture.
Can we make it full size? Let's see here.
We lost your second picture of the
Really?
device. We saw the device, and then it went away. Oh, there it is.
Seeing it on my screen.
Okay, it's back now.
It's back.
Is there a way to share that specific thing as a full screen?
I think you can go in here. Paul knows how to do that. Is it pin video, Paul?
Yeah, it should be pin video. I just did it.
Yeah,
and then share your screen.
Is that good?
Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay.
Is
So
that
first-
good? Is everybody seeing that large, or should I change it?
I got it large now. I use
Okay.
the pin video.
All right, here's the device. I'll try and watch over it. The screen on top is where we interact with everything. The glasses go in here to be measured. And then there's just a couple of very simple things. And then there's a printer here for printing off the results afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. The first thing you got to do before you turn it on is take off the cover. There's different cover heads for different purposes. We will only be using this one, the one that's on it. There's one you can actually measure contact lenses with as well. All righty, let me turn it on.
Gary, it looks a lot like a Keurig.
Yeah, it does. It's not much bigger than a Keurig either.
It probably makes better coffee than a Keurig, though.
Let me see if this works now here. There's the screen. And there's a little stylus that comes with it. The screen actually works with your fingers as well. I find out you tend to muck it up after a while, but well, isn't that interesting? There we go. There's a little stylus that comes off the back of it. And so you can work on different things with it. Now let me see if I can keep the screen in focus here. So if we go into the mechanics of the screen, and this is where all the system setup is. Now I will set this up according to what we need things for. And so let's see, go to the next screen. So I've got it set up, and we can set up and run this with our own name on it so we know who's done the work of checking the glasses. Generally though, there's a couple different modes that you set it in. There's a general mode for most glasses, is this X mode. That's for, this mode here is for looking at progressive lenses, and this is an automatic mode. Now if I can't get it to read, I go to the automatic mode, and I usually find out that it's progressive lenses.
Gary?
The process is really simple. Let me grab a couple pairs of glasses here. I've had about 100 glasses here before we decided to do this, and I was getting ready to send off to the Lions Club. That's what I used to do before whenever people show me glasses. We get a lot of used glasses, and if you can see these, this first pair I open up has a loose lens on it. And you know what we do with those? Right to the trash can. They're not worth messing with because you get down on sight and those glasses fall apart. Here's another pair of glasses we'll start with. And generally, we clean them first.
Can you not use the lenses out of the frames?
You can, what's that?
Can you not use the lenses out of the frames?
You need new frames, and it's quite a bit of work.
Okay.
You don't really want, there's plenty of used glasses, you don't need to be working with that, and people will give all sorts of stuff that's just not useful. I shouldn't say all sorts of stuff, but some stuff. But if it falls apart, it's going to fall apart in shipping, it's going to fall apart in your transport, and it's going to fall apart on the indigenous people when they're out in the wilds.
Understood.
So,
understood, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, this little piece here is a nose piece. And this little bar goes back and forth. There's actually a lever that controls it as well. This nose piece, you take the glasses, okay, and just set it on the nose piece, and it self-centers then on the little nose pieces, okay, on the glasses. You push this up against this back wall frame, then you move the glasses until you find the center point. Now, it's hard to see. Maybe I can turn this a little bit more. And up here, there's a cross on here. Let me clear everything here. And when you're on the glass pieces, you move it around the lens until you get that cross, that dot to appear. And then you lock it down, okay? And then you move it across so the green dot goes into the center line, and then you start moving up and down until you get that yellow cross. Then when it gets to the exact spot of center where it reads, it gets a large yellow cross and it reads. It's that simple. We take it off, we move the slider to the other side. That measures the pupil distance. We put the glasses back on this side. We lower this item to hold it in place again. Now we move it around until we can get that spot back in the center. It's done. This particular pair of glasses is not bifocals. We turn it here, and you can see up on the screen, there's our measurements of what these glasses are. These are a positive 2.25 spherical. That means there's no astigmatism to them. And there's a 62-inch pupil distance. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Are you still there?
Yep.
Yep.
I guess I can see it. Something's weird on my screen, but that's okay. All right, and then it's a matter of pushing the print button up here on the screen. And you can see you still see it there? Is the screen frozen?
Frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Click to reactivate your messenger. Is that? Oh, it's in chat for some reason here. How do I get out of this mode? Huh. It disconnected on me, I think. Back to meeting. Here we go. So anyway, the prints right out of the side of the thing. You get a little printout. I don't know if it can be read or if this is backwards. Nope, it can be read.
Too close. It's a bit close. Yeah.
And that pair of glasses is done. Okay. And then it's a matter of this isn't the right baggies, but that's what I'm using right now. We just put the pair of glasses with the prescription and a pair of baggies. Later, when we get the right baggies, we actually end up writing the prescription across the top that fit into a box that can be sorted later. And that's done. One pair of glasses.
Hey, Jerry, is that
take another step, and it's about that simple.
Is that thermal paper, Jerry, that is
That's
printing
thermal
out?
paper, yeah.
Okay, so that's not going to last very long in the sun and in the bag, yeah.
No, we will be marking on. We got a regular set of prescription bags coming for used prescriptions, and that they're actually about half the size. They're a narrow one about like this wide and about yay long, and they got a little spot to label on the top. It's fairly simple. I don't know if there's one more step. You read in two places to do bifocals.
Okay.
That's simple. I mean, I'm practiced at it already. Down the line, when we want to ship this around, we got really good shipping materials for it. So when we want to ship this around, say somebody's collected 100 pairs sometime, and they're ready to try and do this at their site, I can pack this up. We can ship it across to whoever, and then I can, over the phone, relatively quickly get somebody up and running.
Jerry, did I hear you say that you can do progressive lenses?
Progressive lenses, you can do the similar. These are progressive lenses. It's a different spot. But yeah, this thing does read progressive lenses as well. Let me see if I can bring that up here.
I just wondered, I've got a couple that I was going to send, but I was hesitant to because they are progressive lenses.
Yeah, the progressive lenses are not much harder. It's a different reading procedure. You put it back down in on the screen just like this. And there's a spot that, let me clear it here. Okay. Okay, it read in the first part. Then you move it down until it gets to the sweet spot on the progressive lens. And that has that progressive lens already done on that side. Move it to the other side. Back, got the sweet spot where the lens reads. It's done.
Hey Jerry,
That is my own prescription. So, yes.
What about if like I've a couple pairs of old glasses. I only have a prescription really on one side.
Yeah.
Would that be useful at all?
I have one of those as well. We do find people like that out in the wild too. Okay. They have one dye that's dominant, and the one side's considered plano. It's there for balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did a pair of glasses this afternoon that were actually bifocals. They had a prescription on the left eye with a bifocal, and the right eye was plano with a bifocal.
Okay. Well, I
You
got
do
a couple
find
pairs
that.
for you.
Beg your
Also,
pardon?
last night I spoke at a Rotaract meeting about your project, and they very interested in it. They want to do it as their international project, collect glasses for you.
Fantastic. You're going to collect money too, right?
Yes, yeah. I told them I gave them the flyer. They're going to print it out. They're going to distribute it on their college campuses and at their 3 local sponsoring Rotary clubs.
Very cool.
And
Very cool. And you know, with that sort of situation, what we might want to do when we've raised enough money, we'll be buying a second one of these machines. We could, like, I could send the machine to you, and under your leadership, have it there for a period of time, and they do the work.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
All right. That's been the backup plan for some time, is to find Rotaract clubs that need some international project time and lend them the machine and do exactly what you're doing. Excellent. Great. Other questions?
Hi, guys.
What about calibration? Is there an issue with ever having to calibrate those things, or?
I have no idea, but you know, the one way I would do it is check my glasses every now and then. So it doesn't have to be that accurate. We have it set in quarter increments. You can actually set it digital in hundredths of increments, but generally you do set everything up for quarter increments, and that's what we use out in the field. And so, I mean, you get the glasses close enough. These are what's considered B-rate glasses for these people, but it's like 95% better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. It really is. I'm really pleased how simple this thing was to use. So I wouldn't be afraid of it if you want to get to help.
So Jerry.
Yes.
I always thought that everybody's left eye is different from the right eye, and everybody else doesn't have the same configuration for wearing glasses, the distance between the eyes, the center of focus, the bridge of the nose to the ears. So what you're saying, you take the glasses, you keep them in the lenses, and then you try to find somebody who fits those requirements of the existing glasses. They're not reground and put into different frames to fit on a different head.
No, they're not. It's when we go in the field, most of the time our glasses that we have in the field with us are just set for the different prescriptions.
Yeah.
The doctors will determine sometimes if one eye is more dominant than the other on a person. Okay. And they will lay out the prescription, the desired prescription. We almost always never see exactly at the prescription that we're measured, okay, as an individual. But with used glasses, you go in, you get that measured prescription, then you try to get as close as you can from the assortment of glasses you have. And typically you have enough glasses to do that if you have approximately 4 pair of used glasses for every individual. Yeah, I mean, that you're planning to see. So if we plan to see 1,000 people, we'll go in there with something order 4,000 pairs of glasses.
And you'll find somebody.
Typically, you look at the right eye first, unless the doctor determines otherwise. You sort through until you find a magnification that's appropriate, so the spherical number.
Yep.
Then this is happening on site, okay? And then it takes about an hour to get practice to where you can do this. Then you look for the spherical or the cylindrical number, which is the power associated with astigmatism. And so you got to get within like 15 degrees angle of the right angle plus or minus a half a diopter. And then you can get close. And again, you're taking people, you're not necessarily going to hit them at their exact view, but if you take somebody who hasn't seen anything clearly for 20 years or 10 years or even 5 years,
and you bring them with glasses on
20%, you've done a tremendous thing for them.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pupil distance is something we don't often have we can measure it on the individuals. And indeed, when I do get special glasses for some of those people that have very distinctive prescriptions, usually it's very, very powerful prescriptions, we do very carefully measure the pupil distance. This machine measures that. And so this will actually help us when we use prescriptions off this in the field. We'll also be able to look at that pupil distance as well which we normally don't see in the field. But when I had glasses made, they're made exactly for the prescription. That's not quite true. If you got somebody that's like, 12 diopters or 8 diopters off, and you go to put a pair of glasses on them, that they've never had glasses, you put a pair of glasses on them and expect them to see, they'll see for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then they'll have a horrendous headache.
Yeah.
And they won't wear those glasses ever again. So typically with somebody like that, it'll take me 2 or 3 years before I bring them up to where they're seeing 20/20. You give them a pair of glasses that takes them in steps there, and then they'll actually be able to see. They'll see better and better and better over a year or two period. But good question. Most people do actually see approximately the same in both eyes. Astigmatism is something that's kind of goofy. People will either have, when they have astigmatism, the angle will be the exact angle and parallel in both eyes, almost always, or a 90 degrees difference. So if my angle of structure here is off here, my other one would be more like right up this angle. It's kind of strange how that works out, but it's almost always either in parallel or exact 90 to each other. Make sense? In the ear distance, we take care of that with a heating tube and stuff in the field.
When I want to send my glasses over, where I have to send it? What address?
What's that?
When I want to send my old glasses over, where I?
For us?
What address? Yes.
That's on that pamphlet, but
Okay.
it's my address.
Okay.
It's my address, along with the money.
I know.
But yeah, it's with my address. Yeah, it's on the pamphlet.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have minimum 10, I think.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I know.
We get going with this. I think this would be a fun project for us to do. If we make a couple of associations, like I think it was David was saying, right? We make a couple of associations with some Rotaractors. It could be a nice perpetual project that we can all participate in as much as we want. Okay, let's make sure I got that off. Okay, let's switch subjects. Actually, I'm gonna shut this camera off. I hope. There we go. And let's move on now. There's a conversation that I was shared with earlier this last week. Was I think it was Juan Yebron. Juan's not on, is he, tonight? But he had somebody that approached him somehow about doing youth exchange with our group, and he was all excited about it. It would take a special student, but those happen. And his idea was for us to take on a student and have them spend 4 months in one country, 4 months in another country, and 4 months in another country. I thought, wow. But, things do happen. When I was a youth exchange student, I was actually sponsored by 2 different Rotary clubs about 200 miles apart. And so I spent part of the year in one area and part of the year in the other area. It would take a unique student, it really would, but we could do that. We could also consider doing a youth exchange kid and keeping them in one country but move them across. Or we could look in the local community for somebody if we wanted to do something like that. So I thought I'd just throw that out here because there's a certain amount of discussion going back and forth with 4 or 5 people. And I wondered, we really don't know what the club thinks. And so we think better as a group than we do as an individual. So that was the first topic to discuss.
How would we find somebody to send out?
That's the easy part, really. We all have school districts in our area, and there's no reason, Rotary's well known for our exchange, so there's no reason why we can't go ahead and let people apply to our program from all over the place. We can go ahead and interview them right here on Zoom.
That's a good plan.
Our local high school has a Rotary Interact program, and I'm sure that they'd be interested in knowing that there's an opportunity. My daughter did a exchange program in Barcelona for 2 weeks, and then she brought her exchange buddy back with her, and they stayed here for 2 weeks. So on that end, I know Rotarians in Spain who are would be interested probably in hosting if you're looking for a host also.
Is Amanda on tonight?
Hi, everybody.
Amanda did her youth exchange in Spain.
I want to throw out, I'm just coming in and tailing in this conversation. I'm sorry I'm late.
Actually, it's a start. We're just starting it.
There's any district that hosts exchange students on the outbound side, there's always 1 or 2 or 3 people that had applied that don't get positions. So you could almost go to any district that's active in the exchange student side and pick up a candidate for us to sponsor easily.
Rotary has 2 different exchange student programs for the high school kids. There's the school program, and then there's a program called short-term youth exchange. I actually started here in our district, and that's one where the kid goes away for 4 to 6 weeks in the summer, and then another child from that same family comes back to this kid's family with them and does the 4 to 6 weeks locally back here. So it's also possible for us to get started by doing something like that. There's Juan Yebra. This was his idea.
Yeah, hi. I like the idea of them already being pre-vetted. If they just didn't make the cut for whatever reason in the other program, then they're already willing and able and vetted. It's kind of an easy way to select without going through the trouble of trying to do it on our own.
Well, we'd have to do it within the realms of a district program.
Uh-huh.
Now, the district here, they do, they're involved with what's called Ohio Erie Rotary Youth Exchange. It's, 13, 14, 15 different districts. And they exchange with 60 different countries right now. So it's quite a neat process. Juan, this was your idea, pal. Why don't you talk to us a little bit?
Hi, everyone. Yes. I think that the easy thing will be to find the students. That should pose no problem at all. Problem right now is with Rotary International compliance issues. We first get approved in order to be able to send the students and receive the students. There are several reasons for us not to participate in the program, but they're all kind of easy solutions to implement. There are several easy solutions to implement. The biggest problem is the insurance thing. We need to find coverage for students in order them to live in 3 different countries and still the insurance cover them in each one of them. That shouldn't be a problem at all. We first need to decide if we want to join the program before tackling the problems that this will represent. I think we first need to decide if we want to name a youth exchange officer, go ahead with the certification thing, and of course find support from our district, and of course that means Sparky and our chairman, our district chairman.
The district chairman is a pretty good friend of mine. I could ask him what he thinks about this sort of idea and such. He's actually I think his mother's actually from Colombia. He spends quite a bit of time visiting Colombia, but he lives here.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah. Maybe there's some ideas more that we could have him. Maybe I should reach out to him, and then maybe we can schedule him for a program with us sometime. I think this is something that we need to take our time planning to see if we'll get involved. It's not something that needs to be made any decision by any means, but it's an idea to consider. I'm putting this club together. I never thought about doing youth exchange.
But excuse me, can we not put the student under the umbrella from the district we living inside? For example, you know, because Chris is a district of our district over here, and they have our own youth exchange program. So why we cannot put them under the umbrella because of a Rotary organization?
We're not sure. We just don't know yet what we're required to do or not required to do. Our club's under the district 6380.
No, but
And whether or not insurances or other rules require us to have a program underneath that, if we're even allowed to have a separate program or not. Well, I don't know. The answer is I just don't know.
No, what I mean is, you know, in my case, for example, I'm the member of this Rotary Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
my husband is member of another Rotary Club from the district over here. So, and when we have the youth exchange over here, we could, you know.
I would think if we did that, and for instance, you guys are a host family, we'd certainly want them to participate locally as best we could.
Yeah.
I think that would be a benefit to the student.
In terms of resources, really, it's the only way to do it because there's support built into the structure of RYE, like counseling for the students that are Rotarians, are specially trained to do that. And so everybody that is considered for hosting would have to probably approach their district so that there's no surprises, right? I mean, we're going to be sort of piggybacking and we're going to be using RYE resources from a different district. So we're going to have to work through that issue.
Not necessarily, Brian, because we can, for example, if an inbound student comes to Mexico, he or she would have to stay in my city, and then I would act as the EO and find a counselor, a local counselor, to help me. Or I will act as a counselor and have a distant virtual EO, so we can comply with that requirement. And after 4 months, the student will change location to another country, and they will have a local counselor. We need to triple the counseling structure to cover the student. Always have the student protected, and we can have a virtual youth exchange officer. Not necessarily piggyback with other districts. They will help, of course, but one of the main concerns of the people at Evanston.
So as a group, we would need one youth exchange officer.
Yes.
And then each country or each club that the student, each member that the student would go to, maybe a host family, the club would then need a local counselor.
Yes, I guess the easiest way to do this would be by hosting the student in a city where each one of us would lives. So in that way, for example, if the student stays at your city, we will train you as a counselor, and we will keep our youth exchange officer in whichever country he or she lives. We will train counselors for each one of our cities in case there's he's staying whichever place. We wouldn't need to rely on external clubs.
So yes, of course, but in Central States, the counselor cannot be a host parent.
Of course.
Yeah.
Not ever in any other district as well.
That's right.
What are the ages of these youths that we're considering?
I think our district goes from 15 to 18.
Yes.
Okay, so the host family will have to deal with topics like curfew, boyfriends, cars. We have to think about all these fun things. I've had au pairs for 7 years, and trust me, you run across all sorts of, well, at home I'm allowed to stay out till 2. Why do I have to be home by 12? I can spend the night at my boyfriend's house at home. Why can't I do it here? So just be aware, the host family will run into a lot of those things. The counselors got to be ready to counsel parents as well as students.
Yes,
exactly.
That's very true, but I can tell you there's certain rules in order to become an exchange student.
I agree. I agree. But
there's
rules, things like, well, can I use my student to babysit for the weekend so they can earn a couple dollars?
No,
Is that okay?
no.
Those
Can't
things,
drive,
I know,
can't
but all
drink,
those questions
can't
come
date.
up.
No, can't date, no boyfriends.
Yeah. No cars, no boyfriends.
No driving of any vehicle, whether it be the lawnmower or the tractor or a motorcycle. There's no driving. They're not insured.
Right.
All those rules were developed because of former exchange students like myself.
Who got into trouble.
And this is all stuff that is covered in the training. My only concern with having the host family be the counselor is that there's not that third party if something goes south with the host family.
That's why
we don't have a choice in that matter in Rotary's programs these days.
Every district's got a counselor that does that and trains the host.
Yep.
I don't know if this
Every club has a counselor. Not every district. Each host club has a counselor. That's worldwide.
Right.
I don't know if this,
something, guys?
Hold on, we
Go
got
ahead,
two people
Amanda.
talk at once here.
Amanda, you go ahead.
I don't know if this applies in other districts, but in 7090, which is just due east of 6380, we also have to do police background checks of any host.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When I was a host, they did a background check on my wife and they came to our home and did a home check before we came.
Yep. Perfect. That's the way it goes.
I know from a system here over too, because friends, they want to get registered for host families, and they had a check too. But what I think it's very necessary, when the kid come, for example, in my house, I have no American household. I have a German household in an American state. It's not what they want to see, maybe.
Oh, that's not true at all.
That's not exactly.
No.
It's
That's part of the fun.
I mean, what we're talking about here, if we actually do something in multiple countries,
But honestly,
it would be a very unique exchange experience. With the right kid, that would be amazing.
I know, this is what I thought right now, when you come, for example, to Yuan and have this culture, then it comes to Bruce and got to Canada, and maybe then to me, to Texas, and then met not only Texas, met German. I think every youth exchange will come to our club to make the program,
Amanda, you jump back into the program, wouldn't you, and go back to being a kid back at this? Is she still on?
I am sorry. I'm trying to keep muting you guys because I'm driving and stuff. It'd be awesome. I expressed my concerns in the emails, right? It's tough. About month 3 is when things get really tough, and that's also when you start really feeling like you're part of a community, right? So if we're bouncing these kids around every 3 months to different families, I'm concerned that they're going to miss that continuity.
But that's
and beyond that, Jerry, as you know, I had to repeat my senior year, right?
Yeah.
So we just have to be very careful with these kids to make sure that they have something in place, an agreement with their schools in place where they've looked at the curricula at each place that they're going to do, if we're going to do that, so that they're not in that same position. Or we dictate that this is only for students who are on a post-graduation gap year program.
I would strongly recommend that if any of us becomes the initial host family, let's say, that child stays within whatever district you are in. I know for a fact that our district sends the kids out on what they call a Western trip. It's a 2-week trip. I know around Christmas time, they go to Disney World, and these are all the exchange students in our district that get together. Plus there's 2 or 3 other events that they come and attend, like the district conference. So if we had an exchange student that was rotating between 3 districts, that would really be unbeneficial to them, I think.
Maybe we make only 2 and not 3 districts.
Probably. Yeah, I think that's something to consider because, yes, kids build bonds with their community. And there are several trips that are great for the kids to have. In Mexico, there's the Maya Quest, the Maya Journey, something like that. And it's an amazing journey they do. Kids that go to Europe, they have great tours. Yeah, we may consider, or we should also think about just coming to Mexico or going to Canada or the States as a part of another tour. Those are things that, yep, you're totally right. We need to think about in the benefit of the tour.
Yeah, but back to the counselor doubling as the host family. I don't think that ever works. I don't think that's even part of the I think that's against the rules. But what we could do is train ourselves to be the counselors and find host families, because those families aren't required to be Rotarians. So that's something that we can think about.
Or maybe, something we could also think about is maybe this is not a youth exchange, and we could start looking at the Rotaract is the kids, right? The Interact, is that the young adults one? I get them backwards.
Yeah.
Rotaract is the 18 to 30. Interact is high school.
And maybe it becomes like a short-term professional exchange. It's just another option that we have.
Yes.
Where we have the option right now because we're new. We're establishing new stuff every day, right? Maybe we can establish a new program that is either with the students on their break, whether it be during our Christmas break because they're in the Southern Hemisphere, or their summer break because they're in the Northern Hemisphere, where maybe we do 2 weeks at each family rather than multiple months, or something like that. So just let's try to think a little bit outside of the typical box, which we already are, right? But even kind of spitballing some ideas with other potential programs we could stand up.
Well, we could walk before we run and do a year or two of trying out the short-term youth exchange thing.
But 2 weeks, honestly, I think it's too short to get, when you want to make some meetings with interactors, whatever, I think 2 weeks, because everybody is busy and not everybody has time until, they comes over. I think you will need 3-4 weeks for one.
Short-term exchange is, each kid is 4 to 6 weeks.
So if we already have a program through the regular district Rotary, why are we as an e-club trying to invent a new program?
No, we're not trying to invent it. We want to join the district program. We actually cannot work outside the district.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to participate.
Yeah,
for us. Program that already exists. Okay.
Amanda, I love your idea about just making it a requirement that they be postgraduate year gap. That's a
because I have a student, my son leaves on October 10th. He's going to New Zealand for the year with he's not a program, it's an academy he's going to, but for a student like him who graduated at 17, that's an ideal situation. If he was going to take a gap year anyway, it wouldn't be important that he has the continuity of curriculum so that it transfers, so you get rid of a couple issues just right off the bat.
Or something like an internship. Did you thought about that, internship?
That's the New Generations Student Exchange Program.
Yeah, I think there might be bigger issues with the internship thing because that's work visa.
You're right, yeah.
That's a really good point too.
I think we should explore the idea of the short-term exchange program. And maybe just think about sending outbound students for a while.
Yep.
Well,
I have an outbound student who's very interested.
I can foresee doing another one of these meetings like this and get the district youth exchange officer involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
So maybe in a month or two, doing something like that. Because, if we're exploring doing something like this, it's worth looking into.
Yep.
I know I can reach out to our exchange officer here in our district. I know him very well, and he would be more than happy to come in and give you a presentation on anything you want and answer all your questions.
Ours too. I know ours too. He's the person.
Same here.
And it, honestly,
Let's start with the district we're in.
Jerry, as a starting point, we may be able to reach out to 6380 and say, hey, we could be a first stop for the inbound as just kind of a touch point. We could host an inbound to join our meeting, just let them ask questions, something like that that would allow them to have just an early touch point.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we have an open spot next month in the schedule, so I'll look at. I've got to look at the website to see.
Well, let me know.
But I'll send you an email, Jerry, and we'll hopefully, yeah, between Terry and you and we'll get somebody and go ahead and have a presentation.
Gabe Navarro is the current district exchange officer in our district, and so I'll reach out to him in the meantime as well.
Is it Dave, D-A-V-E, Dave Navarro?
Gabriel Naranjo, N-A-R-A-N-J-O.
Naranjo.
Naranjo. Yeah, thank you.
Naranjo.
Gracias.
Jerry, are you the only one that physically lives in 6880?
I'm the only 6380. I am the only one that physically lives in 6380. That's correct.
So you're hosting?
Not necessarily. I've hosted nine kids over the years.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sure Jerry understands how to host a student.
Or how to send a student.
I've hosted. How to, very good for her.
Run a program.
Well, we've never hosted, but we have a family and a kid, so would be probably a match that we hosted.
I think that's good when you have in the families who have kids living, so
yeah.
I think this is really necessary to
Yeah, I
host.
have to admit, it was a lot easier hosting when my kids were home.
Let's throw this out to Gabe and then go from there. I think that's going to be the next step of this, okay? Before we figure out any direction.
Before we go too far, we talked about one of our members that had been in arrears, and I sent him an email, and he said that he sent in and had a letter of resignation in last spring, and we never took him off the rolls. So
who is that? I can't hear you.
Howard Chandler.
Howard is? Okay. We'll just remove him.
Yeah, he's off.
Did you already remove him from our?
I did tonight, yep.
Okay, great. Did you fix the crediting or anything like that, or do I need to go in on the due system?
Neither one of us knows how to do that, I don't think.
I'll take care of it. What time we got here? Do you want to get into the other subject, Brian?
Yeah, we got 15 minutes.
All right.
Might as well touch it.
The other subject that came up was we've had evidently through Linda, we had a person reach out to us about possible membership, and the person lives in India. Okay.
Wow.
And that got to thinking about some of the issues we've dealt with, multiple time zones and what was going to happen then. And one person popped up, says, well, what about if we start a satellite club? And
what is it, the satellite club?
Satellite club is something relatively new in Rotary in the last 2 or 3 years that's been going on. It's become the primary way that Rotary International has been pushing new clubs to start. Okay. And after going through starting new clubs, I can tell you I actually like the idea because of the risk factor with dealing with money and other stuff, and as well as insurances and stuff when you're dealing with projects. A satellite situation is you to start a satellite club, there's a minimum of 8 people, and they act and work. They're truly each person becomes an actual member of Rotary instead of a preliminary. You know, when we were a provisional club, we had some of us were Rotarians that were in other clubs, but a lot of us weren't in any club at all. So anything we did had to be under some synopsis of something or other. And so with the satellite club, when a person becomes interested and joins, they actually become a Rotarian right away. And they're a member of the parent club, and they're actually put on a committee called the satellite. The satellite has a chair, not an actual president, but they have a chair. And they can operate completely independently as a club underneath the rules of your own club, or they can be integrated and part of whatever projects. Some of the places locally that do satellites, they're usually in a neighboring community or in the same community, and so they jointly do things until the satellite grows big enough to be a club. In our case, this was the thought to do this with somebody that wanted to do the same sort of thing we're doing, but on the other side of the world. So that was just what was thrown out there, and I thought, well, that's interesting. On top of that, we've dealt with struggling with the time zone differences. And, and then perhaps, we might end up with a Central America satellite. I don't know. Is Juan still on board to talk? There's different thoughts.
I'm here.
It's kind of a new thought. So what do you think about all this, Juan?
I don't think that it's such a problem having being on a different time zone.
I think India would be a big problem.
India would be a big problem. Can they attend? Can it be? It could be considered proper attendance, if they join the meeting by watching it on YouTube later.
Oh yes. Yeah, there's a lot of new ways to consider attendance.
It was my suggestion, Jerry, that the idea of a satellite club is really kind of a brick and mortar idea. And I don't see a reason why we don't just set up a second meeting in a different time zone. And then all we've got to do is have a chairperson, like you say, a committee chairperson, to run that meeting, and then we communicate between the different meeting times, and then they're all members of the Rotary Club of Motorcycling Rotarians. I don't necessarily see what the advantage to making a satellite club is when we don't have the limitations that a brick and mortar club has in the first place. It seems to me like if we have a meeting in a time zone and we're not able to do it, we could drop in on another one of our meetings, and we're all one big happy family.
Yeah, maybe we have if we've already scheduled a speaker in, let's say, the A group, which might be us, you could play the recording for the B group later, and they could discuss the topic amongst themselves, or whoever joins, can join later at the later meeting in the different time zone. That way you don't have to try and create 2 different presenters and all that other stuff.
But honestly, I'm in the different time zone too. It's 1 hour, and you too, right, Brian? So
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
if somebody want to join the club, or like Juan, right? So if somebody want to join the club, and they know we meet each other at this time, Wednesday night, they will make it happen because they want to join us. And if we are too big that this is not working, maybe we will need a second meeting. But at the beginning, if somebody want to join us, they agree with every time we're meeting. And if I would stay in Europe and you would meet, I would stand up and say, okay, let us do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
well, what time is it?
5 o'clock.
Right
It's
now?
5 o'clock in the morning right now in Mumbai.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Personally, I don't think there's a need of us to do a second, or not. I mean, to do a satellite club. I could see a second meeting being beneficial as we grow.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not there yet.
No.
But if somebody, the thought on the satellite and then what came up with this, somebody from the other side of the world likes this idea. They want to get going and doing something very similar to what we do. I think I'd be all for creating a satellite on the other side of the world.
Why
and
we
then
not?
as they grow, it's a way for them to turn and become a
Yes.
new Rotary Club.
Why we not sponsor them? As
They
a-
would.
We would, as the parent group, we would be sponsoring them.
I like that.
Yeah.
But in the interim, we're not going to deny this person membership in our club. Sign them up.
Absolutely.
If they want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and join the meeting, let them join the meeting.
That's right. You know. Who gets going for that one?
Can I add something to this conversation? I emailed him back with the idea of maybe setting up a meeting separate from our regular meeting, because it was like 4 or 5 in the morning there, and he said there's several people he can get to do that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to running a meeting for them on a different day and time.
Well, if he's got several people, I mean, that's almost the start of a satellite club.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna kind of be a hybrid, I think.
For sure. I mean, why wouldn't we set up a Zoom time, give them a Zoom login, and a few of us just take turns spending some time with them?
Well,
I don't mind waking up in the middle of the night, from time to time, and handing the baton off to somebody else. It's all about communication, right?
That'd be kind of a cool club project doing it that way.
Well, then we can truly call ourselves an E-Club, can't we?
Here's a thought. One thing that I've struggled with, we've had a lot of meetings where we've had a speaker that went on for an hour. Virtually every Rotary Club I go to, the speaker gets like 20, 25 minutes. And it would be not that hard for us to switch to that format, record the speaker part of the meeting separate, and then we have the interactive part together. And then if we repeat a meeting somewhere, the speaker part can be shared as a video and still do interactive with each other, those people that are present.
I like that.
And vice versa from the satellite club.
Right.
Well, that'd be cool too, yeah.
And that's probably a board topic that we can, if we're going to change, we really don't have much of a structure of a meeting, and I've thought about this a lot. So it's probably a good idea to start, considering a little bit more structure in the meeting, as long as it's not set in stone, because when we have speakers like Dieter who speak for an hour and all of us want to hear another hour, we can let him do what he needs to do. So
He's in Mexico, by the way.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where?
And he had an awesome time. I can.
I follow him on Facebook. It's I saw him as well.
Yeah, you're not Juan. You are not committed to him, or connected with him on.
I don't think so, no.
So when you give me your email or whatever, I can send you where he was. No problem.
Yeah, I'm typing it right now.
Okay.
Hey, Juan, I think you have an email, because I emailed a bunch of places I had after he left my house. So I think you're in on one of those emails. Maybe.
Here's my email.
Yeah, I see it.
I think we can. I love the idea of recording the speaker and
She's done, right?
keeping our meeting. Maybe we can keep an open forum, type chat, so others can join the conversation in a different time zone.
Always learning.
Brian, this would be a good place where we could maybe put Slack to use, where we could have that continuing conversation and have if we were talking back and forth on Slack where somebody was kind of keeping notes while we were having our meeting, they would be able to see it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was thinking the same thing. You're reading my mind, and of course, I haven't had time to go do it. None of us have had time to do much of anything in the past month, but you're absolutely right. If we had that behind us, then we could be setting up some a little bit more organization. Well, I'm going to turn the recording off, but before I do, has Blair got a minute to give us the four-way test?
If I could remember it. Is it the truth?
Is it we're all concerned?
Is it
We're
fair to all concerned?
Will it goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it
beneficial to all
it's
concerned?
beneficial to all concerned? And most importantly, will it be fun?
Yes, that's an important thing. And I think we have to work at the